Hi, I'm Pushy, and let's get right to the point. I'm Nettle, and today we are having our very first Corkboard Chaos segment. No woo today. This is a serious topic. I'm not playing games with you guys today. Nettle's about to sit you down and run you through some facts. Today's topic is the BLM movement. My feelings, and I'm going to give you some facts about how it's affecting the black community as it stands. You'd like to know that Nettle herself is a part of the black community, and I stand with the BLM movement. First topic, adultification. I want to start with adultification because it's a very important topic that has affected me since I was young. However, to make sure I'm not biased on these topics today, we are joined by the wonderful Prince Flowers. Hello, Prince Flowers.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, and you?
I'm doing pretty good.
That's good. Okay, so, Prince Flowers, have you ever seen in action an act of adultification or just injustice towards our black community?
I've seen a lot of injustice, whether it be online and a few results in person. There's a lot to go over. There really is. I don't even know where to begin myself.
Well, let's time travel and start with some older stuff. Everyone remembers being a kid and doing stupid things when you're younger. For example, I was a kid and I wanted a piece of candy. And it was in my local corner store. I see this man every now and again when we walk to the store. I think nothing of taking a small piece of candy and eating. Obviously, my mother's having nothing to do with it. She pulls me by my ear and makes me spit out the candy that we can I just lost my candy for no reason at that point. But I get that it was to learn a valuable lesson that you shouldn't steal, but it could have been so worse. Prime example, there was a girl. She was 11 years old. She was hanging out with this group of other girls. She was not the only one, but she was the black girl, and she was the one who was taking her slowest. Police officers proceed to tackle her and pin her to the ground with her hands under her. Then they try to pull her hands from under her and put it behind her back. While both fully grown officers have their knees on her chest. What is she supposed to do? But because she was calm and saying she was sorry, like we're taught, they were like, well, obviously she must be older. An 11-year-old wouldn't. But 11-year-olds have to now. Nowadays, an 11-year-old has to be like that. Because what her mom said is absolutely right. If you're a police officer, and it takes two of you to apprehend an 11-year-old girl who stole maybe, $100 in chips? They didn't call the parents. They tried to pin her down and they tased her. They tased an 11-year-old girl. Well, it seems like there was a need, and they didn't get in trouble. A group of police officers came into a home and shot a woman dead in her bed. The man was trying to wake her up. The man alerted the police that he had a gun and he was trying to find out who was home. But they said nothing until he got it up, reached for the gun, and they shot her after she just woke up in bed 8 times in the chest. And not even every police officer was jailed. They weren't even fired. Not every police officer was even fired for shooting someone in their bed.
It's brutal to be seeing this happen in our day and age.
It's the Lincoln thing. Everyone goes, well, Lincoln made the slaves free, so that was like 400 years ago. Why are you guys complaining? I know this is a controversial thing to say, and comments, I know, I hear you. Nettle, oh my god, how could you believe that? You're garbage. No, I'm not garbage for this one, comments. This time, you're wrong. I'm not garbage because people cry and mourn and observe reverence and it's too soon for 9/11. And way more black people were killed during slavery, tortured, mutilated. And it's never forget 9/11. Never forget that Timberlands, their tree is a slave hanging tree. Never forget that people were slaughtered so other people could have free labor. And what's more important is a group of people died on one day. Wow, like what, 3 billion people? 3 billion people died at once with the towers?
No, much lower. It's closer to like 300, maybe 3,000. It was one or the other.
Point is, that day was considered such a sacred day. But if I bring up the fact that I can't afford to live or have rent in today's society, I'm looked at like, oh, well, work harder. And now Karens are out here complaining, I don't want to wear a mask. And then they get mad when they get a ticket. They'll be the same people to tell a black person, well, you should have just followed the law. It's one of those things where it's like, people are sitting here going, all lives matter. Think, if you will. There's a comic that explains it best. I do not remember who it's by. All original credit to them. I did not make this idea or this statement up. It's a comic of someone's house on fire, and the neighbor is watering their house down. And the firefighters show up and go, hey, why didn't you try to put out the fire? Well, my house could catch on fire, so I should just cover it with water just in case.
It's a great metaphor, but it's horrible what people are doing in our country. They don't have the right to be punishing citizens like this. Other citizens, might I add. Like, it's frustrating.
It's even worse with the police and the body cams and all the people that are just the 64,000 black people that went missing. No one's saying a word about them. Oh, but Corona started in December, and that's important. But just a chunk of the populace gets annihilated, and that's not important.
It's super important. It's crucial. People need to know.
People aren't focusing on it, and people don't want to focus on it. I've got some facts right here, and it's the U.S. federal prison population. It's the number of people versus the number of incarceration of black people per 100,000. In the U.S., it is 655 black people per 100,000 in prisons.
Oh.
And in 2017, let's say 2008 seems to be our biggest spike with almost, 1,600,000 incarcerated.
Jeez.
It's a little closer to 1,500,000. It's not that much off. My point in bringing this up today, everyone, is the number of black people being incarcerated just keeps... It's ridiculous in America. I don't understand why in 2020 we are so focused on incarcerating people at this point. America's more focused on militarizing and incarcerating its minorities than getting a cure. Or even getting past this. Japan did not shut down. When people were sick, they stayed home. When people were asked to stay inside for voluntary quarantine, it was done.
Yeah.
Americans just kept complaining and complaining. And I'll let you go. I'll let you guys know. Nettle is an avid of the stay-at-home quarantine. I stayed at home as much as possible, and the one trip I made outside of the house for a special occasion, I was quarantined the entire time. It is not hard, but we make excuses, and that's why we're still dealing with it, and we can't open up because people don't even want to wear masks. People are cutting holes in masks to eat and all this other garbage. Do they not realize the problem is, okay, their breath getting into the air.
Yeah.
Even if they don't have it, right now, their antibodies could push anyone over. This relates to Black Lives Matter because it all talks about why we need to matter. It affects us as Black people because we're dying from it too, and we're unprotected so regularly, and things are only getting harder, especially with quarantine that's been happening. This is hitting the poor even harder, and the poor is usually us in the minorities. It is usually us who are struggling anyways, and it's only become harder. Jobs aren't really available. Like, there is really nothing we can do at this point to even move forward. We're still in some sort of halfway shut down open place, and people are so mad that Black Lives Matter is happening because they want to go outside. Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry my life isn't treated more important than your pooch or your kitty or your bird. I'm sorry that right now we need to be talked about because our house is on fire. I understand all lives matter, but all houses aren't on fire. The minorities are mainly the poor, the incarcerated, those who are struggling to find work, those who are homeless. We make up a good chunk of all the bad in the world. But there's not that many of us. How does it keep happening? There's no one's... But that's just our fault. If you ask other people, there's a song I want to reference for this specific topic. It's a song called I'm Not Racist. I listened to this song several times because it makes a really good point.
I think you've shown it to me. It's a very interesting song that reflects on both sides of the perspective on the movie. But it's at the end of the day, it's a fantastic song. Go listen to it. Nettle can describe it a little better.
Right, okay, so in the song, it basically does the basics of what everyone's saying in most of these arguments. I'm not racist because my sister's boyfriend's Black, or I understand that you're struggling, but you still gotta support this country. You still gotta stand for the flag. And these are small rebellions that are done so we can regain what small power we try to have over ourselves, over our lives, because that's what the point of Black Lives Matter is. We as a Black people keep getting stuck in this loop where we try to succeed, but we get it's not even a glass ceiling. It's literally a metal bend. We try to go to the top and it shoots us back down. It is a one-way ticket back to where you came from, and there's nothing we can do about it. I do appreciate all our allies in the Black Lives Matter movement that are not black. You don't need to be black to know that a black life matters. And I appreciate every single one of you listening who stands with us in the Black Lives Matter movement to try to fight for our right to exist as an equal.
You guys are appreciated.
Well, you're a part of them too.
I mean, yeah, but still, the audience should know.
Yes, I appreciate your input. We have to work together. And as quirky as it sounds, I know that's so cliche to build a bridge of light, because even our country itself is built on a road of just bad decisions and being like using people and stepping on people as ladders. And when we stop seeing people as a number or as a product or even as a customer, we can start seeing people for who they are. It shouldn't have to be a Black Lives Matter movement. We should matter regardless.
Right.
Okay. I have a couple articles here I'd like to reference. These talk about just how Black lives struggle on the day-to-day of just our system keeping us in the ground. Do you know that the street lights in urban cities, urban is what they call ghettos, unofficially. It's not a ghetto, it's just an urban city. They're orange. Orange is known as a home glow bulb. Why are the streets in a city that's dirty and smelly orange? Because psychologically, it gives us a warm, homey feeling. From the time we're little to the time we're old enough to understand what's happening. The lights of our city, the way the system's set up, it's too late. We're already apart. Just speak on it, Prince Flowers. Think how you feel about the whole thing.
I have heard a lot of stuff in the past, and I do know that, like, on an architectural level and, like, cityscaping wise, a large part of it does have a lot of these biases. Like, areas that typically have, like, lower incomes will have, like, even lower options in terms of, like, food supply. Will have unhealthy, like 7-Elevens, for example. Stuff that's meant to be very, like, grab and go. They don't have access to stuff like Whole Foods and, like, you know, the essentials that people need to have, like, a good diet.
Right. Almost every corner store will have an ice cream or a chip, not like a vegetable or fruit. Some of them don't even have milk or cereal.
It's ridiculous how some of these places manage to, like, run still. It's baffling. The point is, though, that there's so much that needs to be done on just, like, a town building scale as well in order for this movement to, like, fully be equal.
Right. I just want to read an excerpt from a Harvard Pop Center faculty member. Her name is Sarah Bletch, and her colleagues worked to publish 2 very important studies on racial discrimination in the United States. One study found that substantial black-white disparities in the experiences of discrimination in the U.S. spanning multiple domains, including healthcare, employment, and law enforcement, while a separate study found a similar discrimination among Latinos in the United States. Given the connection between racial discrimination and poor health outcomes in both groups of Americans, the study calls for more attention to be brought to it. Even here, we don't have to dig far to find out why Black Lives Matter extends even out of just African American people. It goes into our Hispanic brothers and sisters, into our Asian brothers and sisters. Everyone across all of the flavors, cultures, just blends of the color spectrum. Black Lives Matter is less about, well, at least in my eyes, in the heart of what I feel and what I stand for in the Black Lives Matter movement is equal opportunities for people of color, not just African American people, not just one group of people, everyone to be treated equally. It should be given that no matter the color of your skin, you should be given human rights. It's not like, it's like just saying a color is inherently gendered.
Yeah.
It is a wave of light that catches in our eye. It is nothing but a miracle, and it should not be put into a box.
Exactly.
Prime example of one of the biggest things this study talks about: healthcare. I have lived in Oakland most of my life. Not until I got out here did my healthcare pay for my phone. My healthcare has me with a worker that helps me renew my stuff and look for food stamps and all this other stuff. I didn't get that in Oakland, and that's where they need it. You know, in Oakland I wasn't getting a personal therapist and all my meds and like all this stuff so easily, but it's out here, and it's shocking and jaw-dropping. If you go into a Planned Parenthood, even out here, let's say it's not an urban city, especially out here, out in northern Bay Area, I guess it's East Bay technically, Northeast Bay, you will see in the suburbs, even in like Martinez, Pleasant Hill, a Planned Parenthood is still serving their white clientele's first.
That's whack. That's why.
It literally escapes not a single facet of daily life. Someone told me they got an iPhone upgrade, so their plan just keeps piling and they got free iTunes. One of my family members, Granny Nettle, she's had that plan her whole life, and they not once have given her free iTunes. And the difference is one of us was of color and the other person was white. I want America to be for the people again. I want America to be for the people for the first time, really. For once, I'd like to be carrying a TV down the street. Even if I'm just moving. Even if I felt like taking a TV for a walk to see what would happen. I don't want to be flagged down by a police officer. There's videos on YouTube, and there's friends who have done it, I've seen, that have carried a TV with a ski mask on in broad daylight and did not get pulled over by a cop. Because they were white. It is a thing where I want the America white people have. I feel like every person of color does. The one where you're actually innocent until proven guilty. Why are so many black people being tried young? At 17, are you mentally able to say you can think as an adult?
I couldn't say that for myself, at least, no.
No one can. If you're not 18, you're supposed to be sent home. Parents are supposed to be getting involved. But parents are just being fed lies like, oh yeah, it's totally fine. And yeah, no, we're not gonna jail your child. That's why we have a movie about 5 black men who went to jail for a wrong imprisonment because they literally walked him into it. They told him he was gonna be okay, and then they threw the whole book.
It leaves me speechless.
It's hard to stay positive when you know that future generations could still be dealing with it at this point. But as the ink runs out of a pen, so has our time come to an end. The Pen Board is a product of the Uniquely Nye podcast. You can find us online at www.uniquelynye podcast.com and on social media at Uniquely Nye Podcast. You can follow me on social media at Princess Nettle, and you can find Prince Flowers online at Prince Flowers. Before I get to my normal little outro, I want to say this. There are so many cases that go quiet. Will you be the one to let another person die? Just watch it. And remember, like a piece of paper, you are but a slice of the stars. Peace.